Excellent. Let's just see where we're up to and whether anyone is free to watch this evening. It would be lovely if there were... Oh yes, someone's at least joined me. That's even super better. Let's stick that... Oh dear, I've got too many things on my desk this evening. That'll be a bundle of fun. But hey ho! All adds to the fun of life. Cool. Oh, can someone just let me know in the comments that they can hear me? That would be fantastic. Let me just move to that. Hi Seema, thank you for watching. Hi Joe, and thank you. Good evening Alison. Hello Crafty Jacks. Hi Alison. I'm assuming you can hear me. Hi Crafty Jacks. I'm okay this evening. I'm upright. I can stand on my left foot, which is more than I could at the weekend, having just twisted my knee walking and spent actually a very short time in our local A&E. I was very, very happy. Thank you, Alison. That's great. I never trust technology to do what oh, excuse me, that's a nice look, isn't it? Me scratching my nose, but never mind. I never particularly trust the internet to do what I want it to do. So I've got a relatively simple make for this evening. Yeah, we've just turned 7. I'm going to be using all sorts of bits from all sorts of companies, which I think is wholly appropriate for crafting together with all brands. So this is sort of where we're going. There's some bits and pieces to add into this, and I can see that this lot at some point is all going to go on the floor, but hey ho, as long as it doesn't all go shooting all around the place, I will be under control. And I have done a bit of prep in terms of fussy cutting. I've chosen to work with papers from a company that is just a year old, and it's called Alchemyofart, and the range I'm using is Gold Autumn because I love the colours and I love the imagery, and there's lots of things that we can do with it. So I've pre-prepared my frame, which is a Mad Hatter's frame. Good evening Sam, thank you for joining me this evening, but I wanted to talk you through what I did and show you. So the Mad Hatter's frames that were in Wendy's last show come as sets that build to give you lots of dimension, which I think is fabulous because it means that you've got a look that's a little bit more like a mould than just a flat piece, and it means you've got a cavity you can fill to give a really glossy feature to it, but they remain quite flat, and you get the insert as well, which of course you can use for another piece, which is also a fantastic thing to happen. But I didn't want my piece to be completely flat, and so I have Pentart call these 3D decor pens. I think Cadence have something 3D paint pens with their Doras. I think you could probably do the same with Nuvo, although you might use an awful lot of them. But this is a paint product that you literally just squeeze. So I just squeezed and then filled it round, and so you can see that you can get, so it takes it a bit from being flat and builds dimension, and it will sink back a bit but not the whole way. So if I just add some more into here, and you can just fill your space up, and it just does make for super additional texture. You can see that. And again, it then looks a bit more like a piece you formed from resin. So I did that on the bigger frame that's in the set, and and then left it to dry, because it just takes a little while to do. There are lots of colours in the decor pens, and the good news, I think, is that Dali Art has just reopened her shop, having relocated to the northwest, and is offering free UK P&P. She's got the stock that was left and is going to be ordering more. So let me just pop that out of harm's way, and I can complete that for another project. But I just wanted you to show you that bit of it, so you knew where I'd gone to, and then I can shuffle this lot out of the way. There we are. So when it's dry, this is what it looks like. You've got some extra dimension and some extra detail, and it doesn't dry with a completely flat tone, but I think it's lovely. So the next bit I want to do, this is an A4 canvas. Typical, I've got dirt on it, but hey ho. And I have a stencil. Now I never know whether that's the best way or that's the best way, and I really don't think it actually matters which way you put it, because I think it will work in either direction. So I'm just going to put that sort of almost centre in there. I'm not intending filling the whole thing up anyway. Level 2 drying shelf. Yeah, it's a very good shelf. Very good shelf, Anthony. It gets me out of trouble on many occasions. Many occasions. It just stays out of the way. I know that Sam bought the papers. I saw her ask a comment. They are just lovely. I love them, love them, love them. So we're just going to add. So I'm just going to create my background using this stencil, and actually I've got some primer paste because it's nice and thick, and it's just going to add some extra detail for me overall. And hopefully the colours are going to put that. And as you can see, my pot of primer paste is well loved, and that is also fine. Just as well, I shall wipe that off. There we are. Some of that's going to get covered, but that's also fine. So I could have chosen a structure paste for this, but actually the primer paste will work absolutely fine for the amount of texture that I'm wanting on my background. So there we are. And this is a Decoupage Queen stencil, and it's fully expandable, so as long as you let each thing dry in between, you can match it up and add more detail to it. I don't really want that gubbins down the side of there, so let me just grab a wet wipe, take off that, and I'm going to give this a dry. And the joy of using texture paste for this, or the primer paste for this, is that actually it doesn't matter, and I can take that out because it doesn't match with the other side. So I'm going to wipe that off there, and I can wipe that one out of there because I don't want to add more layers. Good evening, Sabine, how are you? So there we are, and I did say this is a background texture. It's not, I'm not wanting it to cover the whole thing, so that isn't quite going to go down to the ground floor drying shelf, because I'm going to dry it with my heat gun in a minute. So let me just clear some of the gubbins off here, because, well, we all know I don't really look after my stencils, but every so often they'll go in a tub of dishwasher liquid and a hot water and that, and then I just leave them overnight, and actually generally by the following day the excess stuff will come off. I guess if I was using them, you know, for professional decorating of you know, furniture and things, then I might choose to be a little bit more careful, but as I don't, it's less of a problem. So there we are, we can just do that. I'll give that a wipe on that side, and hopefully I won't have too much, and I'll still ultimately have a usable stencil. So that can go on the ground floor drying room as well, Anthony. It's a very good, useful system, the ground floor, my ground floor. Do I have it that way? Oh, I never know which way I had it. Does it matter? Does it matter? I think we'll go that way. I think we'll go that way. There we are. So let's just give that, as I said, because it's gesso, she says, removing the loose strands. Now Sam. So at least with this being gesso, although it's a paste, it will dry fairly quickly, and that's not such a problem. So the answer for TV is to make sure you've just got a pot of water next to you. Big, take away a big tray, your roasting tin, stick some water in it with a big squeeze of washing up liquid, and have that next to you, Sam. And that will stick them in that, and they'll be safe for you until you can get to somewhere where you can wash them more thoroughly. Yep, absolutely. So there we are. So I hope everyone is well this evening. Don't put your hands in the bits that you haven't put your heat gun over, woman. Does help. Does help. There we are. Well, hopefully that's that. If I get there, needs to be dry because I need to add some extra bits to it. I'll tell you what, well, I'll stick that next to, not quite on the ground floor drying level, Anthony, on the chair behind me, because I can glue this down onto here. So this is a piece of paper from the same paper pack. It's a cutout sheet with lots of ladies on it, and all I've done, literally, you can see there's a different pattern on the back, is draw around the insert to get my piece that was going to work for me. So I'm just going to now add some glue over the back of this. And yeah, am I adding a lot? Yeah, I am. Because I actually don't want it to bubble. I want it to have to be fully covered so that it's properly adhered. You'll find stuff is much more likely to wrinkle if you've got glue in some areas and not in others. So because you want edge to edge adhesion really when you're doing something like this, especially if you're then going to add things over the top. There we are, on the mezzanine floor. Yeah, that'll work. That will work. So I'm going to pop that into there. I'm conscious I've got a lot of glue, but that doesn't matter. So I can now push this out of the way as I go and get it centralised in here, or reasonably centralised in there. And then I can be reasonably happy I've got edge to edge adhesion across my whole piece, and that again you'll find will minimise bubbling and lifting of the paper, which happens when one surface is wet and the other isn't. And I know I've got a wet baby wipe here, and that's also going to help with that. And now I want to add my frame that's already dry onto here. So I'm going to add, and I've just got an ordinary glue here, so you know, any PVA glue will do for this. The pentart express glue would work quite well, but doesn't have to be that glue. Any PVA. If you're wanting to be quick, then the express glue is good. So there we are. Let's just add plenty of glue. Again, because I want it to adhere properly. And I can wipe off excess. It will dry clear, all PVA glues do, but don't be fooled, because most PVA glues are shiny, so it might dry clear, but it will still show where you've touched it. There we are. I can line those two up, hopefully reasonably neatly and perfectly. Give that a little squash. There we are. Pop these together. That can go over there. Now then, she says, oh dear, oh dear, we're still needing a little bit of an extra dry. So I tell you what, we'll carry on with the system. Pop that towards that. And we'll just grab some of this little lot. So I've got some natural elements, because I like adding natural elements to my pieces. I've got some faux buds from a well-known warehouse. I've got, what have I got? I have got some distress inks, and I've got lots of beautiful fussy cut images. I have got separately cut out a whole mountain of the flowers, and I'm debating whether to add those or not. So I fussy cut these with a white border, and I've done that deliberately because no matter how good I am, I'm never going to get into this very intricate detail that's here. So it's easier to leave some and then try and blur the edges. And so I've just picked a green shade for some of these pieces, and I've got bundled sage distress oxide. Just think it will help disguise some of that white edge. And we'll work in with the colour tones that I'm using. As you can see, this imagery is just beautiful. It's so detailed. It's a pleasure to fussy cut out. I don't have a scan and cut, nor do I want one. I'm happy with a pair of scissors while my hands will allow me to do it. But of course, if they get to the point where they won't, then that'll be another matter. Let me just move you around. Let's see if we can have another bit of that drying. So yeah, so I've picked greens for some of them because I think that those will work. And then let's go with the green for the apple pieces. There we are. I might not use green for all of them, but there we are. We've got another. You see that you've got lots of pieces with the same imagery, but just various sizes, which makes it brilliant, because that means you can use them for 8x8, for 6x6, by 5x5, you name it, you can use it then for what you want. And you can layer your imagery because you've got your different sizes, so it allows you to build depth and texture. So this is dried marigold. I'm now adding to add some of my autumnal tones into here. just because that's the paper brand I'm using, that I've decided I was going to use today. I have got some more bits, and I might, if I'm going to add the leaves and things, I'll do those as I want to do that. She didn't see it that way, Anthony, but I agree, it does. And the samples are beautiful, having had a sneaky speak, and they won't go to waste because Skilled Lane will, I'm sure, bring the paints and things back. So that, as I say, was dried. The green was bundled sage distress oxide, and the orange is dried marigold. Most of you, I suspect, will have those or something similar in your stash that will work perfectly well. Right, here, like it when a plan comes together. And turn that off and shut that noise up. Now then, so let's turn that over. Let's turn that over there. So I'm wanting to add some colour to here. Just about. So I'm conscious that I'm going to have my focal piece here, sort of approximately a third of the way down and a third of the way across, and an embellishment cluster going across here. So I know I want to add some colour. So that's my method and my rationale from what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to add, having dried it all, a good squodge of water onto here. And I've got, what have I got? I've actually got orange paint. So I'm going to add this. And because I've added the water, you can see that I've just, I've used a tiny amount of paint there. Tiny amount of paint. Yeah, 2 little dabs is going to do the whole thing. And but maybe a little bit more. It's going a bit more yellow than I want, but I also have a plan. I did think that that might happen. So there we are, and I can add more later on if I want to anyway. So let me just give this a little bit of spray, a little bit of a wriggle, spread it about a bit. Sorry, I know I've put it up after, so there we are. Oh, I think I was going to do it that way around. Oh, I thinks. And now I can grab a bit of kitchen towel and just have a little mop of this. I really haven't decided which way I want it up. I think we're going to go with that. I don't want it all to be a flat colour, so I have a medium mist spray. Now this is a from Pentart, and it's a chalky one called White Coffee, and I often find that because it's chalky these block, because I'm crap at looking after them. And yeah, there we are. And it's like any spray, but that's also fine. You can see it's gunked up in that tube, and that's no problem. So let me just give that a little bit of a stir, agitate it properly. There. Wow, I won't tell you what that looks like, ladies. So properly gunked up, isn't it? We'll sort that out. Yuck. No wonder it wasn't spraying. No wonder it wasn't spraying. Let's just have a little bit of a mop of that and a little bit of a spray. Let's spread some of that colour with a brush, and I might add a little bit more of the brown. So there we are. We'll sort it. So it's now, I've now got a greeny brown tone rather than it all being orange. I might add some more orange, I might not, but I'm adding some shades in amongst that. I think I do want a bit more orange, and this is about just adding a colour, letting it mix, not being afraid of your colour. You say I can lift off until it's dry. It's an acrylic paint. I can add what I want. There we are. You can see where I added my gesso, how it's acting as a resist to this, and I'm going to add, and this will just encourage it to mix in a little bit more. And I have some espresso here. Now the espresso isn't a chalky colour, so with a bit of luck it will spray for me. She says espresso, and it's clearly blue. There we are. So that really, it's not the colour you'd expect, is it, from there? But that is going to work really well with my pumpkins. So, a little bit of a dab, so we've not got fixed edges. There we are. Right, dry cloth rather than wet one. There we are. So yeah, but just by playing and knowing what your colours are, but now I've got all of the shades that were in my mix by doing that, and now I can give it, put my paintbrush in there. So I'm sure that there will be other companies that have similar colours or colours that you can mix that will work. So I find it best to pick my papers that I want to use, and then match the colour to the papers that I've got. It's far easier to match it that way than to try and make your background and then have to then find papers that will work with it, if that makes sense. But we do now need this dry. In an ideal world, I would leave it to dry on its own, because I think you get more intensity of colour by just letting it dry naturally on its own. But one of the things I think that is common to most sprays is that they tend to soften down quite a lot when as you dry them. So don't be surprised, and it doesn't really matter, because you can go back in and add more. If you dilute down acrylic paint, then that tends not to dry off in quite the same way. So again, a bit of finger painting is always good, isn't it? You say from here. So there we are. Definitely now need this dry, otherwise I'll have soggy bits of paper as I start to layer things up. And of course, like a kettle, it's not going to, kettle that doesn't boil. When you want something to dry quickly, of course, it doesn't dry quickly. It's just the way of the world, isn't it? So I think now I've got a reasonable autumnal mix, and as I say, I can add more later on at the end if I want to, if I want more colour. But it's a background, so for me a background is just that. It should be part of the, not so dominant a set of colours. So it's not completely dry, but we can start to layer things up and begin to position things where we might want them. So that piece is going to sit onto there. Leave that there. Now I've got some, this is like like cheesecloth, and I've had it in my stash a wee while, so don't ask me where it comes from, but essentially you could take your own cheesecloth and colour it to suit yourself, I think, perfectly easily. And I'm just going to cut a piece off, she says, and shred it. Just is going to add for me some more texture, and it's just letting that dry a little bit longer. So, and bits of it will stick out, so you'll wonder what on earth I'm going to do, why it's going to look, you know, and it's going to look, you know, think that I might have lost the plot. Well, I might possibly have lost the plot, of course, but it, you know, it's just going to add some extra extra texture to it. And you don't need much, so I might well chop these into pieces and then give my paper a bit of a shake, get rid of all the bits and mop up that mess from underneath. There we are. Cool. So that can go there. Right, let us put a glue gun on to heat up, because that might also be prudent at this point in time. Rather than using a 3 tons of heavy body gel, I'm going to use some pin flare and some other bits and pieces, so that's going to go there. And I literally, for these, I know I want one of these pieces sitting proud up here, so I'm now going to just, and I had that sort of there, and I know I had that there, so I'm just going to build my imagery all together, just slotting in the pieces that I have, so that I've got an image ultimately that I'm happy with, and one that I hope tells a story. So that can go into there, it can go there. So we're going to have another piece under there, and we're going to have a piece there, and we need to fill this gap in, so we're going to pop that there and that there, so we've got pieces popping in and out from underneath each other. There we are. And we've got some apples, because they're going to balance that apple over there, and we'll have another apple tucked under there. We might tuck that apple actually under there. So I'm forming a curve around here, and I think we might stick another apple up there, and I think we'll have another one, another pumpkin tucked underneath there. So I've got my pieces popped in and out, and then I'm going to layer from there. So that's sort of where my brain is going. It's a dangerous place. We all know my brain is a dangerous place. So having popped them sort of where I want them to go, I'm going to do a little bit of shoveling and moving around, because some bits are tucked underneath and some bits are not. And I'm going to glue some of these. I'm not going to do everything completely flat. So this piece is, I want underneath here, but I want the edge lifted up, so that's cool. So let's add some glue. So that piece, and this is why I've not glued everything down so far, because it becomes quite difficult to do that. And some of these pieces I will want flatter than other pieces, and that's also cool. So that's going to go there. that piece I know I want underneath there, but I might want, do I want it to be domed? I might well want it to be domed because it's a pumpkin. I've got enough glue in there, so let's just pop that underneath there. There we are, so that will go underneath there and sit a little bit up. You can just give it a little bit of lift, just makes a lot of difference when you're making things, doing things like this and building your layers. So then I have my base layer of imagery tucked down where I want it, and I know that that piece is going to sit on there, and I'm going to curve it round because pumpkins are not flat, are they? They're curved, and that can have a little bit of a curve as well, and some of these can. So that's just building depth and dimension. Do I want that piece there? Should I have that there? I'm thinking I might add that one over there rather than underneath, and that's also fine. So that can go there. We can add that. It's lifting up and over. So now, with my base layer in place, I can now pop this piece in, and I'm going to actually use some glue gel for this. I could use gel medium, and my rationale for picking up the glue gel is that it's going to give me some wriggle room. So they are Gold Autumn Crafty Jacks. They're Gold Autumn, and they are Alchemy of Art papers. In the UK, you'll need to contact Sarah Wright if you want them, and she may or may not be able to get more in stock for you, and otherwise you need to go to 14 Craft Bar in Ireland, and the mediums can come from either from That's Crafty or from Dali Art, and the frame is from Mad Hatters. So there we are. I'm just going to add a big glob of that, and that can sit over there arched, and it's anchoring my frame to my piece, which is what I want it to do. So now I can start to add some of these pieces. There was a post earlier on today in a well-known Facebook group with someone, people unhappy about come here, Mr. Apple, the Pinfair glue gel. I've never had a problem with it. Never ever had a problem. It does yellow with age, I think. So don't have it where it's going to be visible. That definitely isn't a good idea. You will, it will. And again, if you blob it where you don't want it, you'll know about it because it dries shiny. So you just need to be aware. I've not had any go off or be horrendously smelly, which was the complaint being made today by several people. So so all I can say is it's not my experience. There we are. That one can go flat, and it's worth having a mixture of different glues in your stash, and finding the ones that you prefer, if that makes sense. I'm going to pop my apple pie into here, and I want it flat, so just bear with whilst we go down to the ground floor. As we all know, we have a ground floor in my craft room, and we'll just grab a bit of that, and we can then pop that onto there, so it's sitting in front of what I was doing. So now I know, because I've left that on glue gel, I can feed that piece in underneath there. So I'm building my layers. So what do I want? I have a space here now that I've created, which was very bad of, it's my bad, because I've not put it together exactly in the same way as I started out, but I've got other bits to fill, so we will not be worried. We'll not be worried, because there's no point in being worried, is there? So, but an apple pie, and I know I had that piece there, and I've got another one of these. I can go and cut more pieces out, there's no question about it, but I'm rather thinking I might pop the apple underneath there and another one of those there now, and on the other hand I might pop the apple underneath. I think I'm going to pop the apple underneath, because now I'm building depth and dimension. I'm needing to change work a little bit and change the, as I get the dimension, I need to change a little bit with where I'm going, because the pieces don't slot together in quite the same way as they did when I wasn't, didn't have the dimension there. And remember, I know I've got some natural elements. Now I've got a big chunk of paper here, and actually I'm going to be really bold, and I'm going to pop that underneath there and just take a little ball tool, little fold, and that can then tuck underneath there. And I'm probably not going to add too many, and I can then slot this other piece into there to let's give this a little bit of a curve with that, and it will just build up the layers and the detail, and that links those pieces all together. There we are. So it hopefully now looks a bit like, and did I put my pieces of gauze in that I said I was going to do? Because I'm who is a woolly butt? Well, that'll be me then, won't it? So, not a problem. We might need a bit of poking, she says, having got glue every which way. Let's borrow the end of that. So we're going to shovel a piece of that underneath there, let it striggle. It's just going to poke its way out a little bit. I've got a gap underneath here, and I've got a gap here, so let's just start filling in these spaces now. If I shuffle this, like that, like that, like that, can stick a little bit of glue into there. That's the space I'm wanting to add into, so I can just take this, poke it underneath there, let it build, shuffle it into there. So, and by doing this, I'm grounding these pieces, so then they're not quite hanging in the air as they were. Because prior to me starting to put some of these in, they were very definitely just hanging in the air. Whereas this way, they are all being linked together. So we just need another bit of glue over there that will help hold that in place. And that can go. So I haven't got enough glue underneath there, so pop that there, shuffle that into there. There we are. Let's see what we've got. So these little bits make a big, bit by bit make a big difference to your projects, I think. So I'm going to add this into here, because I think it's going to work tucked in and underneath there into that space. And because I've stuck that down with glue gun, it's not so easy, but hey ho, that's just, she says, because I no doubt will then burn my fingers, but hey ho, there we are, from that point of view. So we've got some little bits of that. I do think I might want another little tiny piece lurking into there, not quite that size, so let's just take that and okay, Anthony, I understand that message. So I've never really done that. I've usually left my pieces out rather than, but I've put pieces away for Christmas and not go and come back to them. I've never noticed them smelling, so maybe I've just been lucky. There we are. Maybe I've just been lucky. So there we are. Let's just pop that onto there. So I've now got some natural elements and I've got some words, and I don't want my words to be, let's pop that on the floor, to stand out completely white, because the whole piece isn't completely white. So let me just grab that. So these are not quite quote chips. These are actually from a Crafter Clock set of paper products, but yeah, the Tim Holtz quote chips will work just as well. Alright, pop that into there so that they're linked. So I quite like those in those positions, so let me just pop that there. And this was, it did say the beauty is within you, and I've just literally chosen to chop it up, because just because it's given to me in one format doesn't necessarily mean that that's the format that I would choose to use it in. And of course that's the joy of creating for yourself, isn't it, is that you can do that. So let me just start popping that. That will need a splodge of hot glue. So I'm going, let's just script some hot glue down there and pop that into there. I'm going to pop that into there. And now I can start building an autumnal collection together. I might have another one of those into there. One of the things that I think you'll realise is that I'm not afraid of layering my products and my pieces together. There we are. So let's just see where we can get these, because I've got a completely different composition to the one that I started out with. These are natural elements that came from Hobbycraft, I think, is where those came from. Little seed heads. So I just think that they help to add something a little bit different in to the piece, which for me is always cool. So I've got some faux flowers here, and that's that I hope will work in. So that can go into there. It doesn't have to be. So it's a part of a hydrangea head is this one, but I'm just going to scrunch it and tuck it into the space. Fill that up. And they're lovely because they're all completely variegated. So none of these are exactly the same. She says chopping a hole in that, but that's okay. So let's pop. Do I want that? She says with all sorts of bits and pieces. Do I want that piece in there? Yeah, we're going to pop that bit in there. She says let's take that out of the way so we're not having. There we are. Add yeah, I'm going to pop another one of those into there. Just again, it's just filling that space up a little bit for me, and it's meaning things aren't looking as if they've been orphaned, if that makes sense. And I do want that one into there. Again, it's about linking things, it's about popping stuff so that stuff doesn't look as if it's just been left on its own. So we're going to add, these are just some berries from a floral pick, so let's just pop that into there. And of course it's that time of the year, so if we're celebrating all things autumn, berries and things will work, won't they? So let's, yeah. Wow. Let us take that piece that we've chopped the berry off of, because we definitely don't need that. That can go out of the way. And that can go underneath there. Because I feel that that needs something there. That can go down that hole. And just poke it in. It just fills the area up nicely for me. And I've got some bits of greenery that I may want to add. I do think adding a little bit of green is going to help, because I've got, between the orange and the white coffee, I've got greeny tones in my background, so that this is going to help with, yeah, again, linking all of the layers together. Yeah. I do have lots more of this greenery I can get hold of if I want to. Okay. So I've got 3 floral areas, and I've got those, and I've got that, and I've got that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think I might just, I've got 4 of these pieces, albeit in 3 different areas, but I'm thinking that I might need to add another one. Yeah, I'm going to pop it underneath there. Good evening, Millie. I hope you're well, my darling. I saw that you were having a lovely time in your craft room at the weekend, which is fantastic. She says having, there we are. Okay. So we have a composition. I've got some butterflies that I could cut out and add, but actually I'm not sure that I really want to do that at the moment. Still not completely convinced that I don't want to make that flower. Yeah, I do want to make that flower a little bit bigger. So all I'm going to do is not burn my fingers, she says. But I'm going to, ow, she says. I'm going to make a little flower cup for the inside of there and pop it into there. There we are. That's better. That is better. That is better. So, ow, she says. You know, don't burn your fingers. This is never a smart move to do that. We've got that. We've got that. So let's just take a little bit. That little bit of blue really does make a difference, doesn't it? Yeah, that bluey grey black. So I'm just going to add some touches of gesso onto here. And the sponge is definitely a good way of doing that. There is no question about it. And I can take it up and I can add it little bits onto my frame. I've got very little, but it just adds to the piece. I've got lots of glue strings, so that's what I'm picking off at the moment, ladies. There we are. Just popping up the pieces. I'm just going to have a little see whether I like that poked underneath there, and I do. So that'll be a bit of fun, won't it, getting that underneath there. It's just there's a gap, and I don't like gaps, and I'm definitely a more is more person. There we are, from that point of view. And I'm thinking I might want just a little bit of sparkle. So I'm going to fill some of these areas. Just some little bits. She says, having got that, it's on the wonk. Cover some of those areas. Just link my pieces. Just add a little bit into the here. There we are. That will help build things. And I've got lots of different bits on my surface here, but I'm actually going to add a mixture of Stamperia Bronze Glamour Sparkles, which is a chunky glitter. Just sprinkle these, so I've got some tones rather than it all being one. And I could knock these off and then add the next one, but I'm going to be naughty. I'm going to just sprinkle in the next bits. There we are. You can add as much or as little of the glitter as you want. If you're not a glittery person, please feel free not to add any. And the other one is this, which is called Rose Gold, and it's an eco glitter. So unlike a lot of the plastic glitters, this one will last a long time. And I'm not too sure it's really rose gold, but it's very, very pretty. And this is the coarse. They do one that's confetti, like little circles as well, and that's also very pretty. There we are. Because we've got a pretty lady on here, so why not? So that can go on there. And let me just give this a gentle tap. I'm going to tap it over something, and then I can rescue that lot. So that the white of my glue will dry and disappear. Go over there. I'm still thinking that that poor label is just sitting out there all on its little Todd, and in the back of the pad of paper, the pack of papers that comes, or the fussy cut. So the Art of Alchemy papers, they have 12 by 12, 8 by 8, and then they have lots of different fussy cut packs. And the fussy cut, although the pads of paper are themed, the fussy cut pads there's often more than one for each collection. And what it means is that they are that you have then more than one style or more than one theme. So the Halloween trick or treat pack, for example, has typical Halloween. It has some fairly sort of I don't know, typical anime type cartoonesque colours, I think is the best way of describing it. But it also has in it some typical cemetery scenes that are more, and then there's a second pack that is very much gothic inspired, but will work with the background papers. So I'm thinking that that will just completely turn that around, and means that my beauty no longer just looks like I've parked it there. And I can leave it as one, or I can pop these together. And Karolina Bukanowska, I hope that's how you say it, but is a Polish lady, and she's a crafter, so the paper pads collections have been put together in a way that we know that will work for crafters of different who like different styles. Maybe not for the minimalist crafter, I have to say, but I'm sure you could do it pared back if that was your style. I've just never tried, but yeah, but let's see whether, I don't know whether, I'm not sure that my thing has decided to, there we are. Yeah, I'm going to pop that in there because I like it. I think it's going to sit nicely into there, into that space. And now that we've got two, we really need three. Thank you as you do, Jill. I'm having a lovely time watching and practicing my pencil colouring. Lovely. Don't forget to share it, because we all like seeing what everyone else is doing. It's always good to share what you do as well. The lives mean a lot. I'm new to living alone, so it feels like company on days I'm not seeing friends. Yes, sweetheart, I do think that lives are very important for lots of people for lots of different reasons, and they fill a void at the time of the day when perhaps you would sit mulling and maybe not end up not in such a good place, and they give a productive way to spend just a little bit of your day and your time. I mean, I have to say that I think for many of us, you know, crafting is something we do for our sanity. And I'm not sure whether I do want this one or not. Yeah, I'm going to pop it there because I don't like just two. I really don't just like two of anything. There we are. So that can sit there. I'll just add a little bit of white onto that and that. And there we are, ladies. I'm going to unplug that so we don't forget it. So, I hope you've enjoyed the live this evening. I am back in 2 weeks' time. I'm almost certainly going to be live for on crafting on Mad Hatters, well, on Saturday. I've arranged that to replace the one I couldn't do at the weekend because I injured myself and wasn't able to do it. So, she says, I'm going to leave it there for tonight. I wish you all a happy and healthy evening, that you find something that gives you joy and gives you peace in your heart. And that's all I have for tonight. Bye.